What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We got new champions coming to the game for October, of course, with the Halloween fusion. With every fusion, there's going to be new champions. So let's go ahead and take a look at them, see what they have to offer, see if anything is, exciting, something that, I don't know, we want to pull for. Let's check them out. Here we are on the Polarium Forum. And it looks like we actually have an uncommon coming into the game, which is rare. They don't usually put a ton of uncommons in the game anymore. So it's good to see that they're doing that. Let's see if the kit is even viable in any way. So the A1 attacks one enemy, plays an increased speed buff on the ally with the highest turn meter, except this champion. And then they have an AoE, which has a 25% chance of placing decreased speed. Interesting. 3-turn cooldown book, 25% chance, booked up to 50% is not bad at all. So 50% AoE decreased speed from an uncommon champion, that's solid with some increased speed. Not bad at all. I'm not sure how viable this champion is going to be with their base stats, or if anybody's going to level up an uncommon champion for Hydra, but you get decreased speed there. If you're free to play early game, you got an uncommon that could do it. That's not terrible. Okay, and we have Neor Ryme Blade, High Elves, Attack Force Champion. The A1 attacks 3 times. Each hit has 30% chance of placing a freeze. So a freeze A1 champ, solid for hard, Fire Knight, and a 3-hit A1. 30% booked up to 40%. The A2 attacks one enemy 4 times. This first and second hit have a 50% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. The third and fourth hit have a 50% chance of placing a decreased accuracy for 2 turns. Interesting. So a 4-hit A2 single target. Okay. And the A3 attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns and heals this champion by 30% of the damage dealt. Passive ability: whenever an ally places the freeze debuff, this champion has a 30% chance to attack the target with their default skill. All right, yeah, this guy is going to be amazing for Fire Knight, and he's an epic. Fire Knight just came a lot, it just became a lot more viable for people. I would love to get this guy, Neor Ryme Blade. He's, definitely the future of free-to-play Fire Knight comps. Going to be amazing there. Especially if you have him, in a comp with Nut, you bring him in. Granted, it might be a little slower on the waves, but this does make it a ton more accessible. So good job, Polarium, bringing us another champion that can help us out in Fire Knight. I'm happy about that. We got another uncommon Sylvan Watchers. That's 2 uncommon Sylvan Watchers champions. I guess they felt like they needed to finally put some Sylvan Watchers, some uncommons in the game, because to this point we don't have any. There's nothing there. So yeah, I guess they felt like they needed to do that, and they're right. They should have been did that. All right, what does this champion do? Attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target is under a weakened debuff. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a weakened debuff. Okay, so an attack-based champ places a weakened single target. I wonder how hard the champion hits. These uncommons have a sneaky way of having crazy multipliers, like the most ridiculous multipliers. I've seen some hit for some crazy numbers. People even using them like plat midweek, where you could come in with an uncommon and actually nuke down a defense. So I wonder what the multipliers are on this champion. They're placing an extra hit if they're under weekend. Interesting. Next we have a legendary Void Ogryn champion. A1 attacks one enemy, 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill of an ally with the highest turn meter, except this champion by 1 turn. Okay, that's pretty cool. Man, that would be really cool and relentless, honestly. A1, but it's not, it's only 50% chance. Is it worth using Relentless on him? Let's see the rest of the kit. The A2 is AoE. Plays a 50% increased attack buff and increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. And he's going to hit with that skill. Also heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. He is HP based, so going to have decent HP. Got a heal there. AoE hit, increased attack, and increased defense. That is solid. And that's on a 3-turn cooldown book. Solid. A3 is a revive. Okay, revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. Then places a shield buff on all revived allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. So you get a revive with a shield. And it's based on his max HP. That is great. A revive with a shield is great for survivability. It's something that I don't know we currently have. I don't think anybody revives with a shield that I'm thinking of off the top, but 50% HP and 50% turn meter and a shield, that is an amazing revive. That's the actual revive with some sustain that could help you to stay alive and not just get nuked immediately right after. Let's see, his passive ability has a 50% chance of decreasing all of an ally's skill cooldowns by 1 turn whenever they are revived. Nice. That's actually nice. Which could actually be crazy. Oh my god. With Wukong, every time he comes back, decreasing his cooldown by 1 turn whenever he comes back with his passive. Yeah, that could be nice. All right, and he has a aura, increases ally HP in all battles by 33%, so solid. We got another Lego 2 in Lizardman, Mr. Alligator, Krokmar the Devourer, HP based. A1 attacks one enemy, attacks all enemies 1 time if the first attack is critical. Okay. A2 attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. Also heals this champion by 10% of their max HP for each critical hit. So he's got a heal and a shield. It's a self shield though. It's kind of selfish. If this was on everybody, that would be kind of crazy though. I would think for a legendary he could at least put the shield on everybody, but maybe that's just me being, greedy. All right. A3 places an increased crit rate buff and increased crit damage buff on all allies for 3 turns, then gains an extra turn. So this guy might smack. HP based spirit champion could smack. I already figured that much with the A1 being conditional on him doing a crit hit. So you obviously want to build him with some crit, but you could also only build him with 70% crit. He is self-buffing extra turn into the nuke. So we could see another, DPS coming to the meta. We'll see. It all depends on how hard he hits. As an HP based champ, I feel like they've kind of set a ridiculous standard for HP based champs with Taras. So we'll see. He's not gaining any, let's see what the passive does. Because I don't see him gaining extra damage anywhere. He's not gaining damage from the shield, not gaining damage from buffs yet. Let's see. Whenever this champion attacks, decreases the target's attack or defense by 5%, as well as accuracy or res by 5%. Depending on which stat is the highest, stacks up to 30%. So he can decrease. Okay. Over a longer fight, definitely solid ability. Depending on what stat is the highest. So in Hydra, their defense is not that high. Let's see if we take a look at the spreadsheet. So just looking at it, most of the heads have higher attack than defense. Aside from, the head of suffering has higher defense than attack. So you'll be decreasing their attack, which is helpful. I would much rather decrease their defense, but we do have, blessings for that. We have debuffs for that. Obviously, we have decreased attack as well, but that does help you for your survivability in Hydra. It'll also decrease either res or accuracy, which one is higher. Usually accuracy is going to be higher. Yes, it is. So except for, what is that, suffering? Yeah, suffering again. This guy doesn't like to play by the rules, so going to be decreasing res, decreasing accuracy, attack, and defense. And Hydra, interesting. I wonder how hard he's going to hit, though. He's not bringing much else, so I don't know that you really bring this guy into Hydra if he doesn't do like significant damage, right? Because he doesn't have like, he's not gaining any damage from anything else in the kit. There's nothing conditional that makes him do like more damage. And I think, you know, some of the champs we have now have already set the standard. Taras has already set the standard. The mythical orc like gains damage from buffs as well, which could be crazy. Timid the Fool, we already know what he does. Let's see, we got Void, Epic Champion, and Undead. They finally did it. I hope they didn't just throw this in there because there's no Void Undead epics. Like, people have been calling for that. They don't exist to this point. I see that comment like all the time. Where are the Void Undead epics? We got one now. Let's see what he does. Ostrox Bone Glaive. Attacks one enemy, 70% chance of transferring one random debuff from this champion to the target. Also heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of this champion's max HP. A2 AoE. If 3 or fewer enemies are alive, has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs. Okay. If 4 or more enemies are alive, has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs on each enemy for 3 turns. So 3 turns versus 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Void Epic block buffs champion is solid. That is actually really solid. And I like the heal on the A1 with the transfer. Removes one random debuff from all allies, places a 50% increased accuracy buff on them. Okay. In the passive, whenever an enemy attempts to place a debuff on his champion, 20% chance to reflect it back on the attacker. Interesting. And a 40, accuracy aura of 40. This is actually a really solid kit. Could be decent, in Hydra for sure. It's a Void. You won't have any issues placing the block buffs. Get it for 2 turns or 3 turns. With masteries, that could be, 4 turns. So, yeah. I think that this is a pretty cool champion. Not a, direct replacement for like a Yugo, who places decreased defense as well. Also has heal with the cleanse on the A3. And obviously a conditional revive. But this is a solid champion. You get a bit of heal on the A1 from them. They can reflect debuffs. They can transfer, debuffs as well. 100% chance to transfer the debuffs booked on the A1. So I think that this is a pretty solid champion. Kaja the Rai, the champion that we all want to know. What does she do? A1 attacks one enemy, heals the champion by 10% of their max HP. If any Timids are on the same team, heals all of them by the same amount. Why would we want to be using multiple Timids? I don't know. A2 revives all dead allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and then places 30% increased crit rate and crit damage buff on them for 2 turns. Okay, nice. If Timid the Fool is on the same team and dead, revives them with full HP and full turn meter. If Timid the Fool is on the same team and alive, resets the cooldown and instantly activates his Kegs of the Dread skill. So Kegs of the Dreads is the AoE skill before attacking, places increased accuracy, then places true fear. So I need to see how hard Timid the Fool hits, honestly. Her A3 fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. Also removes 2 random debuffs from each ally. If Timid the Fool is on the same team, removes all debuffs from all allies. Okay, so bit of a cleanse, some turn meter. Then plays a block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. 3-turn cooldown. That is solid. It's too bad you have to have Timid on the team to like have the AoE cleanse. That kind of sucks. The random, for a duo champ, I feel like it should just be all allies. Why are they making it so conditional and have it Timid the Fool in the team? All right, passive. All turn meter reduction effects are decreased by 50% When used against this champion, if Timid the Fool is on the same team, this champion is immune to turn meter reduction effects. If an enemy tries to decrease this champion's turn meter when Timid the Fool is on the same team, fills this champion's turn meter by the same percentage instead. Okay. So, pretty much immune to turn meter when Timid is there. Has a reduction when he's not. Fills the champion's turn meter by the same percentage if he's on the team, though. So she is kind of great when Timid the Fool is in the team. She is actually pretty good, pretty solid support champion. Other than the conditional, without Timid the Fool, the conditional, cleanse. I think with Timid the Fool, she is an amazing support champion for sure. I don't know how much Timid is bringing to the table. She seems like she's bringing a lot. Timid doesn't seem like he's bringing that much. We also have a new mythical champion. So, Night Rev support mythical. The A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. 50% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. A2 places a 50% decreased res and block buffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Also decreases the turn meter by 20%. Okay. A3, AoE removes all buffs from all enemies. Also increases the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns. Okay. Nice. Then they obviously metamorph. Passive, they are immune to stun. Increases champion's accuracy by 1 for every 2 res they have. So they'll definitely be, gaining accuracy. You can build full res solid. They have a res aura as well. Nice. Alright, the metamorph skills. Attacks one enemy 2 times each hit. Has a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of all debuffs on a random ally by 1 turn. Okay. So a pseudo cleanse on the A1 for a random ally at that. The A2 attacks all enemies, plays a block debuffs, buff, and 50% increased res on all allies for 2 turns. Then fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. So you get block debuffs and increased res and a bit of turn meter. Not terrible. The A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then decreases the cooldown of all allies' skills except its champions by 3 turns. So they will reset skill cooldowns on the allies and the enemies, just not within the same, skill set. They have to transform, metamorph to do it. Not bad. Not terrible, actually. A4 transforms this champion into their base form, then grants an extra turn. Okay. So, immune to sleep. Increases champion speed by 1 for every 10 res they have. Oh, snap. So, when they transform, you could gain a ton of speed. It stacks up to 50, though. And obviously, same aura. So, you get a good bit of speed here. You get accuracy in the base form so that you can, put the enemy skills on cooldown. It's an interesting champion. It's not Yumiko, but a decent support champion. Pseudo Yumiko with some other mechanics in there. Block debuffs, pseudo cleanses, and whatnot. It's an interesting champion for sure. I think out of the bunch, the one that I am most excited about, I want to see how hard this guy hits, but at this point, I don't get my hopes too high as far as champions doing damage in this game. I feel like it's rare that they, put out champions that are completely broken as far as damage is concerned. So I don't get my hopes too high. I think this guy is going to be the most sought after out of the bunch because a lot of people are looking to make, progress in Fire Knight. I think that this guy is the guy to be had out of the October champions, Neldor. So, yeah, what do you guys think about the kits? What do you guys think about the champs? Anything that stands out to you? I'm 100% want to give me a copy of this guy for sure. I'm sure a lot of people would as well. But thank you guys for your support as always. Thank you for watching. And yeah, definitely let me know what your thoughts are on these champions. But until next time, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be good and be well.